So I'd like to welcome everyone to our third live webinar series. We are calling this TCM and At-Home Remedies, and this is part 2. So our theme today is how to calm the mind, how to de-stress. So my name is Dr. Jazz. I'm a licensed acupuncturist and massage therapist, and I'm here today with Dr. Kim. She is going to be talking about herbal drinks to modulate the immune system. And I'm also here with Ramtin Dakota, and he's going to be talking about one specific herb in regards to calming the mind. So I'm going to start us off, and I'm going to talk about something that you can do at home. While we might not be able to treat a lot of patients in the clinic due to the pandemic that's going on right now, one of the things that we can do is we can treat ourselves using reflexology. So most often you think about reflexology on the feet, but we also have reflexology in the ear. It's called auricular therapy. And so what that means, if you've experienced acupuncture before, perhaps you've had your practitioner needle you in the ear. That's because the entire ear is a reflection of the entire body. So if you were in a full body cast and nothing else was revealed but the ear, you could treat whatever's going on just from the ear. And so what I'm going to share with you today is something called the NADA protocol. And this is used to treat PTSD, anxiety, addiction. And I'm just going to share with you how to needle that. But first, I'm going to share with you what kind of options you have. So ear seeds, first off, this is a Vacaria seed. This is an herb that we actually use in Chinese medicine. Sometimes we'll put it into herbal formulas and different teas. But in this case, they put it on a little piece of tape. And so this is like a skin toned color that you can do, and you can just put it in the ear. But what I have today are these nice fancy ones that have Swarovski, I cannot say that name, crystal. And on the back side, it's gold. And so that gold in Chinese medicine is known to be tonifying to the body. So I'm not going to put all of the ear seeds on. I've already prepared in my ear, if you can see. I've put in sympathetic, which is deep in here, Shen Men. I've also done the kidney point and the lung point. And so what I'm going to share with you is showing you how to do the point. So I have a tweezers, I have the ear seeds, and I'm just going to gently place it in my ear on the liver point, which completes the 5 points that included in the NADA protocol. So as you can see, my bedazzled ears, that now that I have these points, what I can do is I can push on them. So if I'm feeling stressed out, all I need to do is push on these ear points. I can either sustain the pressure for 10 seconds, or I can do like a little bit of a pulsing, but I can just push on each one as I go through my day. So I've been doing a lot of Zooms, a lot of webinars, a lot of sessions like this online, and sometimes it gets really overwhelming to be at the computer, to not be able to go out and work out as much as I want. So I'm feeling that stress, and so it's really nice to have these in my ear. And so what you can do, I'll put a link in the chat box here or in the YouTube video following up with this, is you can go onto the website for the ear seeds affiliate link, and you can order some ear seeds. And I'm also offering a 20 minutes for $20 session if you get the ear seeds and you want help deciding how to put those ear seeds, which points to choose, how to put them on your ear. I can help you out, or any of the practitioners at our clinic really can help us out with any of these ear seed points. So that's what I got for you today, is just at-home remedy that you can do at home. Take it with you. They stay on for 3 to 5 days, and it can help you de-stress and kind of reset your nervous system is how I like to think about it. So there you have it. That's what I got for you today. And now I'm going to pass it on to Dr. Kimberly DeStefano.
All right. Thank you, Jazz, for all that lovely information. I love the use of the ear seeds, especially with the little jeweled patterns on them, and the one that are skin colored too. They're amazingly helpful to the nervous system. I can't wait to share with you guys a little bit about what I've been doing at home to help modulate the immune system. I've been using some Chinese medicinal herbs, and then also some Western medicinal mushrooms that have been extremely helpful in boosting the immune system. So 2 of the drinks that I've been using are chaga mushroom, which is in powder form, and you'll just take a teaspoon, put it in some water, and stir it up. And as well as reishi This one is called cracked reishi spores, and it's reishi mushroom, also an amazing herb to help modulate the immune system. Modulating the immune system really means that if it helps your body self-regulate its own immune system. So if your immune system is running a little bit low, it can help to boost and enhance the function of your immune system. And if it's in overdrive, say you have a lot of allergies or you're reacting to a lot of foods, it can help to calm the immune system and make it less reactive. And so those are two amazing supplements that I've been using personally, especially during this time. They also have an amazingly calming effect on the body as well. So they work in with the nervous system. And that is one thing that I love to hack, especially during times like these where, you know, we can feel a little bit more heightened. And so these work on many areas of the body. I'm also going to talk a little bit about 3 Chinese herbal formulas that we use in the clinic and that we prescribe regularly for our patients to help the function of the lung. I'll be elaborating on these formulas and differentiating within the categories of each of these formulas. So during this time, we have been grieving almost the loss of our past life before this virus. And so as we are moving forward in this time, it's important to realize and acknowledge the grief that maybe we might be feeling consciously on a conscious level or even subconsciously that we may be feeling. And so in Chinese medicine, grief and the lungs go hand in hand. And when we have to grieve something in general, usually the lungs are the first organ to feel it. So one of the formulas that we use a lot during this time for the function of the lung in general is Ban Sha Huo Po Tong. And this is a feeling, this formula is a formula that we give to people who are feeling something's caught in the throat, a stifling sensation within the chest, and overall like around the ribs. And the tongue will have a thick white coating on it. We diagnose through the tongue and the pulse in Chinese medicine. So we ask the patient to stick out their tongue and we look at the nature of their coating. And we also feel the pulse to feel the nature of the pulse, whether it's very strong or maybe a little bit weak. All of these are indications of, we look for indications of inflammation within the lung and within the overall body in general. So Ban Sha Huo Po Tong will be for something feeling caught in the throat and a stifling sensation of the chest. And that would be the first lung presentation that we'll look for this formula. And then we have Buffet Tong, which is a formula that we give to people who are experiencing a little bit of shortness of breath, spontaneous sweating, occasional chills and fever, a little bit of coughing, some wheezing, and just a low energy. And one of the key herbs in this formula is Renshen, which is, maybe some of you have heard of it, ginseng, which is an amazing herb to just boost the overall energy and immunity within our body. And last but not least is Shashen Maimendong, which is probably one of the more severe lung patterns that we see. It's a dryness of the throat, extreme thirst, hacking, scanty sputum, and a hacking cough with scanty sputum. And this is a presentation that we see maybe at the end of someone who might have had the virus or a flu, someone whose system is overall depleted. So we give this to people who we would want to boost and bolster back up into health. One of the major herbs in this is Maimendong, and this is extremely good at building the basically the overall lung tissue back into health. And so that's 3. I know we got pretty in depth into all those 3 formulas, but a little glimpse into Chinese medicine diagnosis right there. I hope it informed you guys. And if you have any questions about anything that I just spoke about, feel free to ask the questions at the end and we'll give you some more information. And now I will pass it on to Ram.
Hi guys, Thank you, Kim. I love all three of those formulas. I use Bansha Hopatong very successfully for treating depression. Um, it's one of my go-to formulas. Same with Sheng Mai, Sha Shen Mai Dong Tong or Sheng Mai San. There's definitely clinically a correlation between the lungs and the depression pattern. So that's something that I found really interesting clinically. So let's jump into an herb I want to talk about today. This herb is so amazing that poets have written poems about it. So we've got the poet Li Bai and Meng Jiao, two famous Tang Dynasty poets, literally wrote poems about this herb because they were so blown away by it and its power. Historically, has extensive uses, but in particular is for prolonging life and staying young. Those are big promises. So that's the poetic aspect of it. So let's dive a little bit deep in there as to what the herb is and how I use it clinically and how you can use it to treat psycho-emotional disorders, but also the spiritual matters. In Chinese medicine, it's very hard to differentiate when they're talking about the psyche or talking about the spirit. It's not as separated as it is here in the West. So they're kind of intertwined and intertangled. So the herb that I'm talking about is called Shi Chong Pu. Jazz, if you don't mind, just type that in there. This herb dates really far back, but it's a very powerful herb. And it's used to treat phlegm, misting the mind. It's used to treat digestion. It's used to treat pathogens. But this leads me to talk about why these herbs are used to treat the psyche. So we in Chinese medicine understand that if the body is not functioning properly, then the spirit is not happy because the spirit has to reside in the body. So we have an expression, we say, insomnia is when the spirit doesn't have a bed to sleep in because the bed wasn't made. So, and that's a metaphor for the body. We say the blood and so forth, but that holds very true. So when you're sick, and you might know this from personal experience, when you're dealing with an illness or a pain, it really consumes you. It doesn't leave you much time to really focus on the spirituality and so forth. And so outside of having psychoactive effects, this herb, it really helps heal the body of very common ailments that really bog the body down and distract the spirit or not allow the spirit to really shine. So I love this herb, and let's jump in a little bit of detail here. The reason this herb is working so well on the brain and on the nervous system and so forth is because of it contains volatile oils and amino acids, but it's just the oils alone, just so you guys know, 34 kinds of different oils from this one herb. So there's 34 oils and they're highly volatile. Volatility is a measurement of how reactive these guys are. So they go into your system, they instantly start reacting. So this herb does have a sedative type of effect, a sedating effect. And so it's used to treat insomnia, but it has a wide range of applications. Outside of the sedative effects, it helps with joint pain. So, hey, I get depressed if I have joint pain, right? So joint pain, because it gets rid of damp, we can go into that in another segment, but it really helps with joint pain. It helps with digestion, and it helps with the treatment of epilepsy, and it can even help resuscitate somebody. So it's got all these benefits. So how do we use it clinically? And why do we use it clinically? There's a concept in Chinese medicine, it's called damp. It's the accumulation of this turbid fluid that builds in your body. This particular herb does a really good job of breaking up that phlegm. So it's a sticky substance. Imagine it as a sticky substance. If it's in the gut, you get digestive disorders, you get sticky stools, you get really slow bowel movements. The gut doesn't feel good. Now, if this sticky substance goes into your brain, then you have clogged synapses. So the communication between those synapses is slow. And I think that's why those oils are important, because they break that up and really help with the cognitive function. So clinically, this is how we use Shirchangpu. We always add it to a formula. We find out what's going on with your body first. So what the disorder is, and we could always add that to the formula to help with those things. I'm just gonna go over for one formula that I like to use, and this is for dementia. Right now, clinically, Shirchangpu is showing to be very effective in the treatment of memory loss and dementia. So what I like to do is take a formula, add Shirchangpu to it, and for dementia, usually there's an underlying deficiency. So we give you herbs such as kidney tonifying herbs such as dujong, tusutsa, renshen, and so forth. A really big kidney tonifying formula, sheng di huang, shu di huang, and then we add Shirchangpu to it. Those are the benefits of Shirchangpu. I could go on for about 3 hours about this. I tried to minimize it, bring it into one. And so to finish up here, the way this relates to the spiritual element outside of the physical aspect of it is historically, a lot of Buddhists, a lot of people who are into meditation have used this single herb by itself to help with their meditation practice. So I do believe that there's a psychoactive element in there that really does take the mind into a place where it's easier to meditate, where it's easier to focus on the spirit. One of my favorite herbs, Shirchangpu. Next week, I'll be going over, actually, I'm going to do a series. We're going to have more herbs that we use for the purposes and the treatment of psycho-emotional health, and also to help with the spirit. Do you guys have any questions?
I got a question for you, Ram.
Yeah.
So, in my continuous studies, I'm often hearing more and more about how digestive health plays a role in depression. And so, as you're talking about this herb, which I really like to use as well, is, can you talk about the digestive connection to depression, spirituality, that gut-brain connection, and how this herb can correlate with that?
Absolutely. So I see depression twofold. One is from qi stagnation. Qi stagnation is lack of movement, natural movements in the body, and there isn't good blood flow. There's not good flow of energy in the body. That's one common cause that I see have a effect on the psyche and digestion. But as it pertains to Shirchangpu, we're talking about damp. So one of the common things we see in patients that are depressed is digestive disorders. And one of the patterns in Chinese medicine is this damp accumulation in the stomach and in the gut, and which trickles upwards and eventually goes into the brain. So a lot of times for my patients, I don't even address the brain as much, or the psyche or the spiritual part as much. I go right to the gut. So Shirchangpu is a great herb to add to formulas such as Baohuan or Yuejuan or Lijongwan or any of those to kind of aid with that. But the connection between the mind and the gut, Jazz, is the concept of damp accumulation, improper metabolization of foods and fluids that recirculate back into the body. They accumulate into this thick substance that really clogs up your body. And that's where the depression signs really start to show.
I wanted to expand upon that because I find this to be one of the most fascinating parts of Chinese medicine, is this idea of phlegm misting the mind, which you mentioned earlier. So this damp that Ram is talking about can be in the body, and sometimes it can transform or be created into phlegm. And when that phlegm is in the body, sometimes also heat in the body, which kind of percolates that phlegm, and then it rises up because heat rises, and it mists the mind, meaning it blocks all the different orifices. And so that's why you can think about people who are depressed, right? They don't want to like be out, and even like migraines can be part of that too. So all of these different ailments that can happen from this dampness and this phlegm that's not properly being processed out of the body. It has to go somewhere, right? Sometimes it's manifested enough that it wants to come out. You can cough it up, spit it out, blow it out of your nose. And then sometimes there's this insubstantial form of phlegm that blocks the orifices. So a really good concept is, before my time as an acupuncturist, I worked with autistic children, and oftentimes in autism, there are symptoms where they can't be able to integrate loud noises or bright lights. Sometimes they're nonverbal, and that is explained in Chinese medicine by this phlegm misting the mind and blocking those orifices. So that's a really extreme example, but it can happen on different levels within a lot of people in a lot of different ways. So I just find that a really interesting concept of Chinese medicine that I wanted to share with you guys. Kim, did you have anything to add to that?
I just wanted to snowball off of the whole phlegm discussion and let you guys know that Dr. Jazz and I are going to be writing a ebook, and hopefully a hard copy book, that is going to go into detail on phlegm, substantial and insubstantial, and how it's correlated to inflammation in the body, and how we see this in the chest, especially with what's happening right now with the COVID cases, how the phlegm sort of slowly builds up within the chest, and how we can eliminate some of that precautionarily before it becomes a problem.
Phlegm busters. We love phlegm busters. There are a lot of good herbs. I think next week we'll talk about yuanzhi, which is another herb that we can add. And the list kind of goes on and on, but we'll do like the top 3 and go on from there. I did have a question for you, Kimmy.
Yeah.
Kim, so are you mixing the lingzhi, the reishi, are you mixing it just with water, or are you making a drink?
So when I want to be more basic and I don't have a lot of time, I just put a teaspoon of chaga and a teaspoon of reishi in water, and maybe with some honey. But if I want to get fancy and make a nice drink that tastes very good, I'll add a little bit of almond milk or a non-dairy creamer, and that kind of like amps it up, makes you feel like you went to Starbucks or the cafe down the street.
And you're drinking it warm.
And drinking it warm. Yeah, so boil water, put the water into the cup, then add the mushrooms, and then stir it up. Sometimes it can get like a little clumpy, so just either you can do it with a frother or just a spoon, and then you can add your hopefully non-dairy creamer, just because that helps with eliminating some of the phlegm as well. Awesome.
And Jazz, what auricular points would we use to enhance the effects of Shirchongpu for phlegm misting the mind? What points would you recommend?
Yep. So I would look to digestion. So I'd actually do a spleen point, which is in the ear. Well, I can't really see it, but I'll include a picture in the YouTube channel version of this. But I'd also use the brain points. So along this ridge right in here, there's all kinds of brain points for the frontal brain, occiput, and that's what I would use, just to clear out the brain, see what kind of functions. Are you having trouble thinking, speaking? We can specifically find brain points in the ear, depending on your symptoms that you present with. So that's, I think, the brilliance of the ear seeds and the auricular therapy is we can get down to that nitty gritty points, specifically when it comes to the brain and its functions.
It's amazing. It's very detailed. Just in that one little tiny piece of space, there's tens of points. For it's far more detailed than people think. So yeah, those are points. Maybe I'll throw some lung in there, and maybe shen men. There's a lot of points to pick from for auricular. So Jazz, I mean, if people are interested, they could book with you, and then you could go through that, and then we can give them herbs. Right now, guys, I'm gonna make a batch I researched shirchanku again today. I'm gonna make a huge batch of already boiled and prepackaged just shirchanku mixed with yuanjir, and I'm gonna take it all week. So if you're interested, let me know. I'll get you some.
We'll see how you feel next week, Rob.
Yeah.
Opening the mind and the orifices. Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
Cool. So if anyone's interested, you can do an herbal consult with any of us. And we have booking online. I'll put that in the chat box as well as on the YouTube. So do an herbal consult, get these herbs prescribed to you. We can mail them to your house, or if you're local in San Diego, you can come by and we do curbside pickup. So yeah, utilize our services. We are a resource for you. We love educating the public and keeping our community healthy, because we're all in this together. So hopefully we'll see you all next week. And thanks for joining us. Unless anyone has any questions. Nope. Good. All right, cool. Thanks again, you guys. We really appreciate you being here. From myself, Kim, and Ram, we're really grateful for you. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.